Hi, this is Katie Weeks, your independent, close to my heart maker, and today I am joining with the Twisted Sisters for a brand new YouTube hop to celebrate the May-June 2022 catalog that was just released today. And you will have two Twisted Sisters each day showing you products from this catalog that they're twisting up. I am using the Hope and Kindness paper pack, and specifically the two sides of this paper, and it is absolutely beautiful. I'm also using the Fancy Doilies thin cut, A Million Reasons stamp set, birthday numbers stamp set, and I'm going to pull out some thin cuts from the core catalog. I've got the backpack thin cuts, the purse card, and the circles, as well as the decorative background thin cut that's from our new catalog. It is very detailed, so I would suggest that if you're using the Close to My Heart machine, you set it to die cutting -2. And I used the Spellbinders Tool-in-one and the back of our Versamat so that I could release all of those itty bitty pieces from both my paper and the thin cut, and I used the sharp end of that tool as well. It was also very helpful with that smallest fancy doily thin cut that I used. Okay, so I cut out some of the holographic Sunbeam paper with my circle thin cut. I kind of prepped all of that ahead of time. You see that this purse card thin cut, I just used the top and bottom. I cut some scrap pieces of paper. I did not cut the whole image. And then for this backpack, this is the one that I want to show you a special technique. So I went ahead and prepped it and cut out the first time, and I'm going to be cutting on it some more. So what I'm trying to build here is, and it sounds silly, it's the back of it's a toilet. That's what I'm trying to build. So this looks like the tank. And then you have the lid that goes on the top, and then you have the actual seat. And it's a little bit too long. So that's where I'm going to bring in my die cutting machine. I have the Close to My Heart one. And I'm going to set it up so that I put this over the edge because I don't want to cut the whole thing again, and I want to shorten up that tank. So after I've cut it the first time, I'm going to move my die, and you see how I have it sandwiched between the layers, and I'm going to run it through my machine again. And then after I have shortened up that part of my toilet, then I will flip the whole thing around and do the same thing to the other end. And while you watch me run these through my machine, I want to mention that there are, I believe, 2 people per day from May 1st through May 8th that will be doing the Twisted Sisters. So make sure you check out the play link in the description below. And every morning at, I believe, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will link 2 more videos that will go up on this playlist. So you'll have a lot of inspiration this first week plus an extra day for things that you can do with all of the new items in our catalog. So here we go. I have shortened up both ends, and that looks a little bit closer to the size that I need. I am just cutting off that lid to make it a little bit better size, and then matching it up with the tank and cutting that to size. Now, doesn't that look like a toilet? How cool is that? And so I will adhere those together, and then for the seat of the toilet, I'm going to actually trim off that little tab that we don't need, just to make it nice and rounded. Okay, so I'm going to glue these together. I found that liquid glue works the best for me, and you don't want it to leak through those holes. I just put a few dots in the middle, but honestly, if there were a few places that did not cut through on that decorative background thin cut, you probably wouldn't see all of them just because my image on the front covers so much. And so then I adhere this to the front of the card, and I make it very secure. So all the way around the edges, I want to make sure I have adhesive all the way to the edges. And I put that on the front of the card, and then I can start building my image on the front. So this catalog is a lot different than some of the other ones. Some of the paper packs are just a whole new style. So if you have teenagers, maybe you're working on a graduation album. I know I'm working on a scrapbook right now for a graduate. These papers are going to be pretty cool, especially like the fresh paint. I think that one is really suited for the teenage age. And then you also have the Tutti Frutti, which would be for maybe little girls. I think it's a great set for that. So here I'm going to use A Million Reasons stamp set, and I'm looking at my papers. I think Sundance will be the best ink here, and it says "You Go Girl," and I'm stamping it in Sundance because it's yellow, and it just seemed like the perfect color to put inside the toilet. So always make sure you practice on some scrap paper, especially the first time that you have used a brand new stamp. And if you let it sit on the cardstock after you've stamped for just a minute, it will allow that ink to really get absorbed and sink into the paper fibers. So you might have noticed that I had this little doily with the Sunbeam. I have one of those for the inside and another one for the outside of the card. This one for the inside says hip hip hooray. I'm actually making a potty training card for my granddaughter. So that will end up going inside the card, and I'm going to build another element for the outside of the card where I'm going to stamp off this little princess from the birthday numbers stamp set, and I'm going to go ahead and color those off camera with Fair Skin, Antique Pink, Gold Brown Blend, Earth Brown, and I'm also using the Spectrum Noir Metallic Gold Nugget marker for her crown. And then I'm going to touch up my black ink that I stamped that princess. I used that with my black journaling pen and my white gel pen. I'm actually going to use like whiteout to take away some of these lines that were immediately around the hands of that little princess, so that when I go to cut it out, I actually have a little border around her. And so that white gel pen like erases the lines basically. Well, it doesn't erase it, it covers it. It covers it with the white gel. And then that'll give me plenty border to go around as I cut this. So I won't make you watch all the coloring. I took that out just to save some time. Notice that I am turning my paper, not really my scissors, as I am cutting that image out. So I'm going to put this princess down with some foam tape, but I think I want a little something sticking out from behind her. So I cut off this zip strip off the end of my paper, and I cut it into 3 little banners, and I just, put a little pendant edge to those with my scissors, and I arranged them so that I have these nice little things sticking out. It just makes it a little fun. And I'm actually going to make this element into a magnet. So I used the magnet sheets that our thin cuts come on, and I'm cutting some of those down. I store mine in a different place, and I don't use these magnet sheets, so these are all just extra for me. So I used some heavy duty scissors, and I cut this down, and I need 2 magnets. Now you want to make sure your magnets, number 1, adhere to each other, and number 2, that your magnet is facing the right way so that it'll adhere to a refrigerator or something like that. You also want to make sure that you're using a really strong tape, and we actually carry a really strong tape. It's that red plastic edge to the tape that you see in the pictures, and you want to use that on the magnets. I'm sorry, I kind of got a little off camera as I was working on these, but you want to use one of those really strong tapes. In our catalog, the core catalog, it's just called adhesive tape, but it's on page 93 of the core catalog. So I had to put the magnet on 2 different layers so that these 2 elements would stick to each other. One is just going to be on the card and it can stay on the card, so you still have a pretty card to set out, even though this one has a toilet. And then you're going to have the other side of the magnet. This Potty Princess is what inspired my whole card. That's the potty training set that I got for my granddaughter on Amazon. And so that's why I put a princess on here, and why she has a magnet, because as she uses the bathroom, she gets a star magnet with her little set, and she had a whole little book to go with it. It was really adorable. So I'm putting this magnet on the other side, and this one is just sticking straight down to the lid of the toilet. That one does not come off. And then the decorative one that has more layers is the one that will go on top of it. So the decorative one, I was able to use 3D foam tape, not this one though. So that one, I could use the 3D foam tape on the princess, and those two will stick together. I did end up adding a handle to the toilet and some bitty sparkles to the lid, and inside it says hip hip hooray. So if you have enjoyed this and my totally bizarre twist on our sets, I hope you'll give me a thumbs up and follow all of those other Twisted Sisters. They might not be quite as twisted as I am though. And I hope you can go and grab your new products. If you don't have a maker, go to kati.ctmh.com. Also, give me a big thumbs up. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if it is still red, and then turn on that bell for all of the notifications. Leave a sweet comment, and make sure you share this with your crafty friends. Follow those other Twisted Sisters for the next week.